If it weren't for acting, what's one thing you would be doing instead?
I'd like to have bees. I'd love to be a beekeeper.
So, is Jacob Elordi a great actor? That's the question. Because right now, he is everywhere, getting role after role, especially in these more artsy, high-profile films, which is a big deal considering for most of his career he's basically been paid millions to be just a straight-up sex symbol, 6'5" model that every film seems to know exactly how to frame. But what makes his career interesting is the contrast between how he's marketed and the kind of actor he actually seems like he wants to be. Because of course he wants to be a serious actor. They all do. Forget the fact that he's basically been playing the epitome of an Adonis in every film he's in. But no, he's a serious actor. And even when he's cast in these serious parts, they're essentially a sexier version.
Bring him to me!
So, I need to talk about this in this video. And before you say it, this is not a hate video just because of how he looks. I'm not jealous of him. I'm not. So, let's start with, from the Wuthering Heights press tour, a lot of his personality came through. And when I say personality,
I was driving in my car.
it's because we all know that a lot of it is staged and performed. He comes across as the kind of actor who wants to be taken very seriously.
When you're totally invigorated by the craft of acting, and so rich, it gives you like so much sustenance and feels so different in retrospect. But they're also evasive. You know everything and nothing at the same time.
The sounds of the dawn and of dusk were pretty instrumental parts of putting the creature together.
And my advice is, don't do interviews, buddy. Avoid them. Because he's sounding so pretentious and artsy and unaware, disconnected from real life.
I found the world's reaction to be slightly prudish, actually. I spend most of my time with my daughter. She's a great teacher in so many ways. Just in her innocence.
It's like we, the public, we only really see him as this beautiful specimen to look at. We're not really listening to what he's saying. A lot of these younger actors almost talk like a little bit of an elitist kind of persona, where they never really look at the interviewer in their eyes. They kind of look into the distance, they touch their eye, they kind of act all cute, they kind of...
My children are very jealous, both of them. My son looks up to you, my daughter is in love with you, like every...
That is so lovely.
Yeah.
What they're doing in these interviews is actually a performance. And they say things.
You read a lot of scripts and you read like 20 pages of them and you just want to throw them at the wall and never look at them again. But this was like...
Have you gotten a lot of those who you just toss them?
So, well, I couldn't be so arrogant.
Paper shredder.
Like, it's just so normal for actors to get the chance to read so many scripts that, they can just throw some away. Like, most actors are not desperate for any work that they would just jump at the chance to read a script. Or even that he would read the scripts himself. Like, he doesn't have a team looking into all this stuff for him. The audience nowadays, we're not stupid. We have access to so much behind the scenes. We know it's performative. We know and we see the whole press tour for Wuthering Heights was a performance of this relationship that they have, this possible romance.
Hi Vogue Australia, I'm Margot Robbie.
And I'm Jacob Elordi.
And we're just having a chat.
I was driving in my car. I was driving in my car.
I
I was also at Oil Can Harry's, and you were there.
I remember seeing
But
you
I
there
didn't
as well.
meet you.
I saw you, but we didn't meet.
Just crashing another party of yours, actually.
Just never get invited anywhere.
Yeah, no, I was like a +3.
We've met before, right? You look so
We're
familiar. And we were sitting like in that, in the grassy bit where I remember talking to you.
And you were there.
I remember seeing
But
you
I
there
didn't
as well.
meet- I was driving in my car.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Wow.
I'm going to kill myself and it's your fault!
That's an overreaction.
We know the reality of being able to see yourself from a third-party point of view. Acting all casual while you're speaking all these philosophical barbs like it's nothing to you. And it looks and sounds so fake and unreal. I'm not the only one who sees this performative nature of actors while they talk and see their self-importance and their opinions and that they like being listened to, all their points of views.
It's either this or like we have to lock you away somewhere.
Since when did actors start becoming this elitist hierarchy where we prop them up in some fancy settings and we have these two guys basically sitting and speaking some fancy schmancy. And guys, what is up with the hands? Like, you know, speak normally. This is why Timothée Chalamet was so popular. This is why. He just rocks up and he just talks and talks. He doesn't walk on like he's royalty. He acts the way he wants and he just enjoys the moments. It's normal. In real life, we're subconsciously careful about people too controlled when they're talking. It's not quite real. It's not quite trustworthy. I respect the fact that Timmy puts his foot in his mouth because he's not rehearsed. He's just enjoying the moments. He's saying whatever comes to mind and he enjoys being out in the public. The more you see these celebrities, you just see behind the facade that these actors are desperate to be liked, to be seen in a certain way, and to control things and to maintain that allure and the image that's being pushed. And this actory image doesn't match up to his filmography. While he talks like a dramatic method actor, most of what he's known for is romantic slop.
Oh no.
So how do we know if he's really a great actor as opposed to a product that Hollywood's built him into? This 6'5", ultra handsome, sexy Adonis that looks good in almost any lighting. And I'm saying these things from a constructive video essay point of view, okay? I'm not jealous. So let's start with The Kissing Booth. Not just a random teen rom-com he happened to be in. This is basically the foundation of his whole acting template. Before this, he was an Aussie theatre kid trying to break into Hollywood. He came to Hollywood and was living in his car. Jacob Elordi confirmed he was living in his 2004 Mitsubishi and couch surfing in Los Angeles between filming The Kissing Booth and landing his breakout part in Euphoria. He was nearly broke with only a few $100s, storing his possessions in his car while auditioning. Big deal. Listen, I've lived in my car for 3 years, and it was the best time of my life. And what car is this giant of a man sleeping in? Come on. 2004 Mitsubishi. It's a pretty big car, actually. Well, I wish I had a car like that when I was sleeping in my car, you know, for 6 years. The problem is that the industry immediately decided who he was, and being cast in these films were definitely putting him in a box of some sorts. Noah Flynn isn't really written as a proper character, he's more like a fantasy. He's tall, hot, dangerous, not actually dangerous, safe enough to fall for. And when you watch it, it doesn't feel like a performance half the time, it feels like he's just being presented to the audience. And that's kind of what his early career becomes, this pattern of being tall, handsome, not showing too much and letting the other character and the audience fill in the blanks. Kissing Booth is really where that gets locked in. Film itself is really straightforward, basic conflict, forced tension, standard rom-com stuff. But what stands out is how little is actually asked of him. Noah doesn't really change, he doesn't drive the story, he's just there to be picked. And to be fair, Jacob knows what the part requires. And he's lucky that it happens to be almost the blueprint layout of Nate Jacobs in Euphoria. Noah's like a PG Nickelodeon show version. He's basically Nate, just without the rough edges. He's still possessive, still hides control behind being protective, and that physical intimidation is still there. The Kissing Booth uses him physically as that archetype without giving him any depth. But Euphoria, with its amazing writing, creates a deep analysis of this type of character. And the fact is, when you go deep into this type of character, it can get dark. And that's why this role actually matters. Not because it shows range, but because it sets up the kind of presence Hollywood keeps using him for. But honestly, you could probably swap him out for another tall, good-looking actor and get a very similar result. Not because he's bad, just because the material doesn't really ask anything specific. But even here, you can see he understands romantic tension. He knows when to hold back, when to lean in, how to create that back and forth, and that counts for something. The issue is, at this stage, he's not really being tested. Nothing is exposing him. He's just there. Even when Jacob Elordi is fully there, the film never really figures out what to do with him, other than have him stand there and represent the relationship. But then when we get to Euphoria, this is where his entire career changes. And honestly, that goes for most of the cast. This show launches everyone in the show. It's a hyper-dramatized version of modern teenage life. Gen Z high school turned into something almost dreamlike. And what makes season 1 work so well is not just the style, it's not just there to look good. The music and the cinematography is all in support of the storytelling. Nate's one of the strongest antagonistic characters in the show. Coming straight out of the kissing booth, Jacob was basically known as the tall, hot boyfriend, the safe version of toxic masculinity. Euphoria takes that exact same template and turns it into something genuinely unsettling. That jump from Noah Flynn to Nate Jacobs is where people start to realize he can actually be threatening on screen, not just something pretty to look at. I'm not jealous. And what makes Nate work isn't just the look or the brooding, it's the writing. They give him real psychology, issues around masculinity, sexual repression, his father's secret life, and this mix of desire, disgust, and control, all tangled together. At the start, Nate's a bit louder, more like a typical jock, but very quickly he becomes quieter, more controlled, and way more unsettling. And that's where he becomes dangerous, because his worst traits are just twisted versions of things people usually admire. His intelligence turns into manipulation, his ambition turns into ruthlessness, even his protectiveness turns into control. And Jacob actually sells the weaker side of him too. This is the first time in his career where it feels like he's not just being filmed, he's actually performing and doing good acting. And yeah, the writing is insanely strong. But it also feels like Jacob is building on what he did with Noah and pushing it further with Nate. It's something that he actually gets to sink his teeth into. And Nate doesn't feel like a typical villain. He feels like someone full of hatred, trying to control everything around him instead of dealing with what's going on inside. In season 2, instead of just escalating this behavior, the show starts to focus more on the consequences of it. And the writing kind of pulls him inward. He becomes quieter, more passive, more like someone who's just spiraling and reacting rather than controlling everything. And in a way that's even more interesting to watch, because now you're not just watching someone get worse, you're watching what that kind of person becomes after everything catches up to them. Nate starts to feel more fractured. His whole conflict is internal, and the relationship with his father is just pretty fucked up, and it's clearly shaping who he is. That makes him feel less like a mastermind and more like a victim of sorts. It's hard to top Nate as a character. So the best thing that Jacob can do, smart choice, is to do parts that are contrasting to Nate. The movie Two Hearts is basically the contrast. It's kind of like the whole, I can be a nerd. Instead of playing the tall, dangerous, smoldering archetype that we already know he can do, Jacob leans into the more tall, softer, and awkward archetype. The character Chris is not cool, not manipulative, not intimidating. He's more like a big, bumbling, earnest dork. He's cringy, he's got that naivety, optimism, kind of normal, I guess. So it's fine. It's a cool performance. It's a slight variation on what he's done before with Noah. And based on the work he's done, this is more of a safe option. He's playing the good guy. It's a clean emotional arc, something that distances him from Nate, from that whole toxic romance material. Because Nate is just so damn big and well written and strong of a character that, thanks to the writers, all Jacob has to do is just do the opposite of that type, and it should come across different. Next up, Priscilla. Jacob Elordi plays Elvis.
Oh, what is this, Anna? Whatever that twinkle in your eyes. Whatever you want to do. I'll back you up.
I want a baby.
I didn't know that things were going to get out of hand. Now, I need a woman who understands that things like this might happen. Are you going to be her or not?
So, it's a good performance. It's subtle, low-key. He's not trying to do an impression of Elvis. It's not like the Austin Butler movie.
Something about it, a catchiness that it's missing.
Watch out!
What do you mean you don't know if you'll like it? Oh, I'm sorry, baby. Are you okay? Okay, I'm sorry, baby. I got my mama's temper.
I'm okay.
You okay? You know, I think you should go see your parents for a little while.
What?
I think you should. Matter of fact, I'll help you. Start packing. Joe!
Yeah, what's up?
Joe, get Stella on the next flight out of here. She's gonna go see her parents for a little while.
But, I mean,
Hurry up!
I never knew Elvis had the same anger and mannerisms and violent, controlling tendencies as Nate. It's good to know, I guess.
I just think it'd be best if we took a little break. I've been going through some things, and I just... To get out of here! Hurry up!
Anyway, next up is Saltburn. And Jacob is playing the... Yep, you guessed it. The tall, hot, central character who everyone gravitates towards. He doesn't have to do much in this. He really doesn't. It is different. It's cleverly done because of the writing. Felix isn't really a full character. He's more like a symbol. He's what privilege looks like when it doesn't even realize it's privilege. He's more oblivious, a nice guy, but not without little struggles of his own. It's more that the character is very well written. And why do I say that? Because he plays Felix, this charming, loose, warm, casually intimate guy, and he is all of these things because people say he's all of these things. Everyone projects that onto him. He doesn't actually do anything to deserve these accolades. But because of who he is, his family, his looks, mostly who he is, people perceive him in this way, which is very accurate in life in these groups of people. And that's what Barry's character knows all too well. And that's part of his motivation, and you have to watch the film to know what I mean. I think it's a good film, worth watching and worth it that I don't spoil it. Next up, Frankenstein. Now this is totally worth reviewing because it is impressive. The movie is impressive. The work required is impressive. The effects. The choice of playing it is a great idea from a business point of view. It looks great for the old acting CV. But the truth is, they could have found another actor to play this. Another tall giant of a guy with an interesting look perhaps. And maybe they could have discovered a new actor at the same time. The truth is, Jacob doesn't improve the film. Again, he's interchangeable, like in The Kissing Booth. However, his name would have helped at the box office.
The sounds of the dawn and of dusk were pretty instrumental parts of putting the creature together.
We're at the end now, guys. This is kind of the reason why I made this video in the first place. I watched Wuthering Heights and I just thought, I need to talk about this, and it's not because I don't like this guy. Honestly, it's not even really his fault. This feels like an industry thing, because here, he's very clearly been cast for how he looks, not for what he brings to the part. I don't know the book or the story in detail of Wuthering Heights, but I have researched and I've watched some great breakdowns from other YouTubers talking about the book. It's not a glamorous romance. Heathcliff is a less attractive, racially ambiguous, dark-skinned foreign character. Casting Jacob Elordi, a conventionally ultra-attractive, again not jealous, actor, changes that dynamic in a big way. Heathcliff should be more frightening, not simply attractive or misunderstood. When you cast someone as beautiful as Jacob, you have to work twice as hard now to preserve the ugliness of the character. And this film doesn't really do that. Jacob's okay in the film, but in all honesty, I was just seeing Nate in a lot of this.
So thank you for telling me Miss Isabella's secret. I swear I'll make the most of it. For you are welcome to torture me to death for your own amusement.
Just a different setting, different background for Nate. The industry needs to start finding new people. Because as I'm watching the film and I'm thinking, who's relating to this guy? The industry talks about diversity and representation, basically putting different kinds of people on screen so that the viewers can see more of themselves in these roles. The same idea applies here. What are normal looking guys getting out of watching this ultra handsome 6'5" guy play in every role? I'm not jealous. What I'm saying is, when you grow up watching TV shows and films, it is normal to naturally connect to certain characters because of similarities in how they look. Sometimes it's because of what they're going through. but also because something about them feels familiar, like someone you could be, even in the smallest ways. There are normal looking guys out there who can be sex symbols, purely based on their character, their face or personality. They don't have to be ultra good looking. It's often about how they come across. And this is one of the most perfect occasions to use one of these actors. But they don't. They choose the guy who is completely not suited for it. You know, you can't just, put a beard on him, make him look a bit rough. It doesn't work because he still looks like this. The same goes for Margot Robbie. Like, wow, if we really compare all the women watching these films, are any of these women watching really connecting with her in this image that she has? Are they connecting with her? Is her performance, her look, her personality, is it really appealing to many women? And I'm not talking about diversity, I just literally mean she's Barbie. An actor like Cosmo Jarvis, a phenomenal actor, would have been perfect to play Heathcliff due to his abilities to embody intense, vulnerable and dark characters. Maybe they did ask him and maybe he said no. So looking at Jacob Elordi's body of work, one thing is clear, he's figured out his strength pretty early. He's really good at playing those troubled, internal, conflicted characters. And because of how he looks, his presence, how he holds the screen, he doesn't need to do a lot. He doesn't need big, showy performances. Is he a great actor stuck in typecasting? Or just an average actor with the right face and body who occasionally gets handed something strong? Well, when the writing is strong and it knows exactly how to use him, he can stay restrained, controlled, and it works. That's why something like Nate in Euphoria works so well, or Felix in Saltburn. Those characters have enough depth already, so he doesn't need to carry the story. He just needs to exist within it. But then when you compare them with roles like the Kissing Booth films, or even Wuthering Heights to some extent, where the part is mostly about being attractive, being desired, the character isn't that well written, he's basically a prop, and suddenly he becomes replaceable. He's not bad in them, he's just interchangeable. And a big part of that is his look, because he's likely always going to be cast in these roles where people are drawn to him, reacting to him and projecting onto him, which means he doesn't always have to do a lot. And honestly, he's best when he doesn't. And look, he'll probably branch out more, he clearly wants to, and I do think he'll do some really strong work in the future, but like I said at the start, all actors want to be seen as serious. They want to talk about the craft and the process and the depth of it all. But in his case, it's not really about what he's giving to the role. It's more about what the role is giving him. I'm not jealous.